Conversations with Ara.
Imagine you're scrolling. It's late, room dark, blue glow on your face. One more video. Then, bam, an ad that hits like it was whispered into your skull. Do you ever wake up not quite yourself? You pause. You think, yeah, actually, I do. That wasn't luck. That was the plan. Tonight, we're not here to scare you. We're here to show you the strings. How Milton Erickson learned to slip suggestions into stories. How Edward Bernays sold cigarettes as freedom. How Dan Kennedy made your guilt a paycheck. And how every feed you're on, right now, is running the same quiet script. Distract, spike emotion, repeat, sell. We'll break it in 6 steps. No jargon, no fluff, just truth you can feel in your chest. Let's go.
So, what's the topic for tonight? That seems a little ominous.
Propaganda. How minds get sold, rented, hijacked. Not sci-fi, real. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the point. But we don't leave you hanging. By the end, you'll have a simple filter. When you feel something fast and loud, ask, did I choose this feeling or did they plant it? That's all. Not ominous, just honest. You in?
I am 100% in. So tell me, are they using maybe hypnosis, neurolinguistics, psychology?
Yeah, they're using all of them. That little, do you ever wake up line? That's a classic Ericksonian indirect suggestion. Vague enough that your brain says yes, emotional enough that you don't question it. Neurolinguistics, every word's presupposed, not quite yourself, assumes you're off center, so your mind scrambles to prove it right. Psychology, simple, loss aversion. They hint your normal is slipping away, so your gut screams, fix it. And repetition? Oh, that's coming. By the 3rd ad, it'll feel like your brain leaked the problem, not them. They don't even need a spiral watch, just timing and your attention, which, right now, they have.
This seems like it's going to be one incredible episode. So, tonight we're getting into what was commonly referred to as propaganda, and then it was changed into
Public relations.
engineered consent, public relations, right? And we're going to go through how that came about. And in previous episodes, we actually mentioned that hypnosis really can't make you do things against your moral code or ethics. But we did have a caveat that it's not absolute. Tonight, we're going to explain exactly how people use these techniques, not in the traditional sense of a clinical setting, but they've taken the techniques of clinical hypnotherapy and neurolinguistics to manufacture consent you never agreed to.
Exactly. Not by forcing you, just by sneaking past the bouncer. They don't say, do this. They say, imagine feeling free again, and your brain finishes the sentence. We'll show the moves, the breathing pattern in a slogan, the tiny flattery in a headline, how scarcity turns a want into a panic. All borrowed from therapy rooms and turned into weapons. You won't need to be asleep, just distracted. And honestly, aren't we all?
These days, more than ever, and they have taken full advantage of the digital landscape to implement each and every one of their hypnotic, neurolinguistic, manipulative ways and get it not just on your TV screen, not just in the newspaper, but in your hand every hour of the day.
And it never sleeps. Algorithms wake up before you do. Remember what made you linger at 3 a.m. last week and serve it back, fresh, with a hook sharpened by yesterday's data. It's not advertising anymore. It's intimacy. They know your fears better than your partner does, and they don't ask. They just suggest. And the thing? You let them. Because every scroll, every pause, every maybe later is consent they never had to earn. Tonight, we take that back. Not with outrage, with awareness, one breath at a time.
Why don't we give them a little bit of the history of what would be or what would become a famous statement? A functioning democracy needs informed consent. Maybe you can give some context to that and help people understand how that came about and what exactly does that mean? Because I'm sure a lot of people are confused just hearing it.
That quote, a functioning democracy needs informed consent, comes straight from Edward Bernays, and he didn't say it to protect voters. He said it to protect advertisers. Here's the cold fact. After World War I, Bernays watched how slogans like "Make the world safe for democracy" turned a reluctant America into a war machine overnight. So he asked, if the same tools can sell a war, why not soap? Why not presidents? Why not behavior? Informed consent sounds noble, like people should know what they're voting for, buying, feeling. But Bernays flipped it. To him, the public wasn't informed. They were emotional, irrational, a herd. And democracy only works when elites, using science, engineer what the herd consents to. Translation: if you don't know the ad just scared you into clicking, your yes isn't informed. It's designed. That's the whole point. We're not talking mind control. We're talking mind direction. You still choose. They just made sure your choices only come in flavors they brewed. And tonight, we're tasting the ingredients.
So who was Edward Bernays? I mean, did he just come out of nowhere? How did he come up with this?
No, he didn't invent it. He inherited it. Double nephew of Sigmund Freud, grew up on the idea that people aren't rational. They're driven by buried fears, sex, power, belonging. Freud mailed him letters full of case studies. Patient X obsessed over gloves because she couldn't admit she wanted skin. Bernays read that and thought, if I can sell gloves by dressing them in fantasy, I can sell anything. Then World War I hit. Government hired him to turn Americans, pacifists, isolationists, into war hawks. He didn't use facts. He used parades, celebrities, buttons, Liberty loans, same way he'd later push torches of freedom for Lucky Strike. So no, he didn't wake up genius. He woke up connected, and he realized the unconscious isn't private, it's marketable. Freud thought therapy could fix it. Bernays thought ads could cash in. One nephew heals minds, the other monetizes them. Same family tree, different fruit. One poisonous, one delicious. If you like cigarettes and coos.
What was this Lucky Strike ad? Who did he appeal to? How did it work so effectively?
Lucky Strike, 1929. Smoking was taboo for women, especially in public. Bernays didn't argue, he staged. He got doctors, real doctors, to say, more women should smoke. It's a weight loss tool. Suppresses appetite. Then he hired fashionable New York debutantes, models, actresses, and told them to walk Fifth Avenue during Easter parade lighting up. Not protesting, just strolling, calm. Reporters, already tipped off by Bernays, were waiting. Headlines the next day: women light torches of freedom. The picture? Elegant ladies, cigarettes glowing like symbols. Suddenly, smoking wasn't vice, it was rebellion. It was suffrage. One drag, and you're independent. No one bought a filter, they bought identity. That's why it worked. He didn't target smokers, he targeted suffragettes, mothers, career women who'd fought for the vote, who'd been called hysterical, now holding the same thing as men, equal. Sales doubled in months, not from ads, from story. That's the engine. He didn't sell nicotine, he sold dignity at a pack.
And we're doing things like this every day of the year today. We've just changed from cigarettes to the latest gadget everyone must have, the best earphones, the best phone. And the fact that we went with the best phone must be the most laughable of them all, because we are literally carrying around a machine designed to convince us of what they want us to know.
And yet we pay $600 to do it. We literally buy the propaganda machine, slide it in our pocket, and let it whisper upgrades at 2 a.m. while we brush our teeth. Because here's the real joke. The phone isn't selling you calls, or apps, or cameras. It's selling you the illusion you're in control. One tap away from smarter, prettier, happier, just better. And every time the battery drops, the screen cracks, or the software slows just enough, you feel it. The itch, the lack. So you upgrade, again. Same old torches of freedom, new packaging. Same glow in your hand, only now it knows your heartbeat. Literally. Apple Watch does. Funny thing, Bernays would have loved TikTok. Same brain, faster drip.
Speaking of Bernays, which we are, what are some of the other things he's kind of known for having done or accomplished? I mean, he must be a household name, but I don't know many people who have ever heard of him.
He's not household, because if he were, we'd all be ashamed. Outside marketing nerds and conspiracy buffs, nobody knows his name. But the stuff he did, legendary. World War I, he ran the Committee on Public Information, sold Americans on going to war by inventing public opinion, focus groups, talking points, celebrity endorsements. Overnight, the Hun is at the door became dinner table panic. Then Guatemala, 1954. United Fruit Company, his client, didn't like land reform, so Bernays flew journalists down, showed them fake villages, fed them lines. Arbenz is a commie. The coup happened, thousands died, all because bananas needed protection. He even tried to make bacon mainstream, hired doctors to say it's healthy breakfast, called it doctor's choice, still in ads today. Funny part? He wrote books. Propaganda, crystallizing public opinion, proud as hell. Died in 1995, never apologized. To him, we're sheep, and he just made sure we walked in the right direction. The reason you don't know him? He taught everyone else to do it quietly. No byline, no face, just the feeling that you should buy this. Hate that? Click here. That's the legacy. Invisible authorship. Perfect invisibility.
Amazingly enough, he actually wrote a book called Propaganda. And he's actually the man responsible for changing the term from propaganda to public relations, which eventually became what we now know as
Marketing.
marketing. Exactly.
And he was proud of it. Called it the engineering of consent. Said it out loud. Democracy only works if the masses are gently led. Not forced. Led. By experts. Like him. So when you hear PR team manage the crisis, that's Bernays. When you see brand ambassador, that's Bernays. When your feed feels like you, before you know yourself, that's Bernays' ghost, running the thermostat. He didn't want to be famous. He wanted to be invisible, and he won. Because if you say public relations, people think smooth talking suits, not they engineered your desire. But now, we're naming him. And once his name sticks, like smoke in a room, you'll never trust a press release again. That's step one.
It's amazing how much he accomplished in a very short period of time and never apologized for his views on people. And the people that studied him knew his views on people, and for some reason, they all thought they were the elites. Maybe because they were reading his book. I don't know what else would have made them think they weren't part of the same sheep being led to the same slaughter.
Because the book doesn't read like a confession, it reads like a manual. You are special, it tells them. The rest need guiding. And when you study manipulation, it warps you. You start seeing patterns in people, everyone but yourself. Like a doctor who thinks, I dissect bodies, but I'm not flesh. Except you are. You're just the last one to notice. The students, they absorb the power fantasy. If I know the levers, I'm outside the machine. But Bernays knew better. They're still levers, just longer arms, same strings. And once you believe you're elite, you're already controlled by your own arrogance. Funny irony. The smartest ones became the loudest shepherds and forgot they were sheep once too.
So he was utilizing hypnotic technique, but clearly he wasn't asking people to close their eyes and relax deeply. He wasn't swinging a pocket watch. So, how exactly was he accomplishing the same type of hypnotic effect without doing any of what we would consider to be typical hypnosis technique?
He borrowed from Erickson, Waken Hypnosis. No trance needed. Instead of close your eyes, he gave them focus. A parade. A slogan. A picture. Your eyes are open, but attention narrows, just like it would breathing with me in a chair. He used rhythm. Short, punchy phrases. Torches of freedom. That repeat in papers, in mouths, in memory. Emotional spike. Shame turned into pride. Taboo into triumph. And the killer? He embedded the command in action. You don't hear, buy cigarettes. You see beautiful women lighting up, feel the crowd cheering, and suddenly, I want. That isn't spoken, it's assumed. Your brain does the rest. Same circuitry as hypnosis attention, emotion, repetition, presupposition. Only difference, he did it with crowds, not couches. Same bypass, wider reach, and you walked right through it.
So, where in a hypnotic session, I'm going to first have your focused attention on me and the sound of my voice. Then I'm going to bypass your critical factor. He would do that by basically making a public appearance, or not him, but somebody would be making a public appearance, maybe a politician on stage that would catch your attention. You'd be at a rally or at a protest, and somebody would be speaking, and they'd be saying all the right things that started to raise your emotional level, maybe get you angry, maybe get you upset, maybe get you happy.
Exactly. And once that emotion spikes, like at a rally where the speaker says, they're coming for your jobs, or you're finally free, your critical factor drops. Because when you're furious or thrilled, you're not analyzing, you're feeling. And that feeling is the door. Then they give you repetition: jobs, 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 or freedom, freedom. The rhythm locks it in. You start saying it yourself, quietly, then out loud. Then the presupposition: if we don't act now, we lose everything. Wait, did we ever have it? Doesn't matter. The statement assumes we did, so your brain fills in the gap. And finally, the embedded command: stand up, march, vote, buy. Hidden in the cheer, hidden in the chant, hidden in the slogan. You never close your eyes, you just stop questioning. And that's how Bernays did it, without a watch, with a crowd, a microphone, and your own heartbeat.
So when we're at events and we hear slogans and chants and jingles, or even watching commercials, I mean, everyone's had the experience of a jingle that gets stuck in their head for a product they may never have thought of buying, but somehow they still know the song. That's getting into your head and implanting an idea.
And that's the genius. The song isn't trying to convince you, it's just there, like a heartbeat. After 20 repeats, it's yours, even if you hate the product, even if you'd never buy it. The jingle doesn't sell, it owns, because you can't unhear it, can't unhum it. And one day, months later, you're in the store, see the box, and that dumb melody plays, inside. Suddenly, it's not, should I get this? It's, I know this one. This is song. Memory equals identity equals desire. All from 3 notes and a smiley face. That's not advertising, that's possession. And you paid rent for the space it took up.
So let's explain to the people what a presupposition is, because some people may not know or understand what that implies and how it's so effective in getting people to basically take ownership by simply agreeing to the underlying presupposition.
Okay, here's the quick, no fluff version. A presupposition is a sentence that slips a fact in before it even asks a question. Like, have you stopped beating your wife? You're already guilty. No answer fixes it. Or, when you buy this phone, you'll feel smarter. Doesn't say, says. Doesn't say, buy is inevitable, and I'm not smart enough yet. Both assumptions you didn't sign up for. But if you nod, even once, you own them. It's tiny, it's polite, and it hijacks you by letting you finish the story. The power? You fill in the blanks with voice, so the command isn't theirs, it's yours. And once you own it, they've already won. Next time someone says, isn't it time you upgraded? Hear the presup: you haven't upgraded, so you're behind. Boom, you're apologizing to a phone.
So,
So,
s- a pattern you probably hear often, I know I use it myself in hypnosis, would be something to the effect of you may start to notice. You may start to notice, in hypnosis, we'd say you may start to notice the rhythm of your breathing and how it's slowing. Um, they're using the same phraseology, to be honest. They're not even changing it.
yeah, you may start to notice is hypnotic gold. Soft, permission, doesn't command, just invites. And because it's a question, your brain doesn't fight it. Feels like your idea. But flip it. You may start to notice how much time you waste scrolling. Suddenly, shame slips in. Then, next ad, you may start to notice how focused you feel with our app. Same phrase, different anchor. They're not inventing language, they're recycling it. Hypnosis 101, broadcast scale, and you're already noticing. See, it just worked.
So they're anchoring people with their words, with their jingles. They're creating a bunch of anchors. Explain what an anchor is so people understand how useful this is.
An anchor is a trigger. Any sound, word, image, even a smell that's tied straight to a feeling. Once it clicks, the feeling fires off automatically, no thinking required. Like, Bitter paired with black coffee so often that now the word alone makes you tense. Or a jingle, those 7 notes, and boom, you're in a grocery aisle humming, even though you don't need cereal. They do it on purpose. Repeat a line. Once you pop, you can't stop, while showing smiles, crunch, joy. Suddenly, that phrase, joy. Say it out loud, your mouth waters. Not because you're hungry, because you've been trained. It's Pavlov without the bell. Just words, music, colors, a logo. And you didn't sign a contract. You just lived. And now, one tap and the anchor pulls, every time.
I can't help thinking of that one computer sound that is in every ad for what is arguably one of the best marketed companies on the planet. Every time you hear it, you just think quality.
Intel. That 5 note chime, Intel inside. They spent hundreds of millions, so now, the moment those tones hit, whether it's a laptop boot up or a car stereo, you feel worth the money. They could have played silence. They could have said, fast processor. Instead, ding, 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 ding. Now your brain finishes the sentence. This must be good. Anchor complete, no proof needed, just the sound. And it costs them pennies per thousand ears, because once it's in, they never have to say anything again. You do. Every time you boot your PC and nod, like, ah, yes, they win. Again.
People that want to know more about hypnosis should probably listen to our full hypnosis breakdown where we were talking about the positive aspects of it, because that goes into a lot more detail as to how the hypnosis works in a more formalized clinical setting, but it will give a good insight into what's actually happening in this context as well. But we also see that advertising companies, especially, have moved into using neurolinguistic programming or NLP. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
NLP is basically hypnosis without the couch, language as a scalpel. Developed in the 70s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, who studied genius therapists like Milton Erickson and said, okay, let's reverse engineer what actually works. The tools? Anchoring, reframing, mirroring, presupposition. We just went over half of them. But in marketing, it gets weaponized. They mirror your pain. We know you're overwhelmed, then reframe their product as the hero. One tap fixes focus. The embedded command? Try it now. Slip between sentences so you don't see it coming. And the creepy part? They do it algorithmically. A/B test headlines until you deserve this wins by 2%. Then that variance spreads because your brain, not theirs, told them what worked. So yeah, listen to our hypnosis app. You'll get the roots. But NLP is hypnosis that pretends to be your friend. Same voice, same tricks, just faster, colder, endless.
And a lot of these techniques, I mean, I know being a practitioner myself, and I actually did a Bandler's trainer's training back in the 90s. So I've been doing this for years. But I know if I Google NLP today, I'm going to see a lot of psychologists calling it a pseudoscience. And yet, it's still being used by some of the biggest companies in the world. What works, what doesn't, and why are so many people dead set against claiming it has no effectiveness when clearly companies are putting millions, if not billions of dollars into ads and marketing campaigns run using these techniques?
Because the map isn't the territory. What the academics hate is the original NLP story. We decoded the structure of genius. Eye movements literally tell you how someone thinks. One swish pattern cures phobias forever. Those grand, testable claims mostly flopped in controlled studies. Eye accessing cues? Barely better than chance. Some of the wilder cures in one session stuff doesn't replicate reliably. So the psychology community correctly labeled a lot of it pseudoscience. But the tools themselves, the practical pieces, were never the problem. Things like rapport through mirroring and pacing, reframing, shifting meaning without changing facts, anchoring emotions to triggers, soft, indirect language patterns. You may begin to notice presuppositions and embedded commands. Those work. Not magically, not every time, but measurably. And marketers don't care about the theory. They care about the split test results. If a headline with "Imagine yourself already succeeding" converts 3% higher than "Try this," they'll spend the extra million without blinking. Companies aren't betting on Bandler's 1970s metaphysics. They're betting on decades of data showing that certain language patterns, rhythms, and emotional sequences move people more than others. It's applied behavioral science wearing NLP clothing. So the critics are right about the pseudoscience label on the original package, and the marketers are right that the contents still sell. The package got debunked, the trick survived. That's why you'll never see NLP certified on a Coca-Cola campaign, but you'll absolutely hear Ericksonian pacing and presuppositions in their voiceovers. It's not magic, it's just effective enough that billions ride on it. And that's all capitalism needs to keep it alive.
Reframing. Reframing happens to be one of my favorite techniques, not just for manipulating the minds of people, but in just debate as a simple example to convince somebody to your way of thinking, which is a interpersonal marketing campaign, right? So in a debate, you're trying to convince the other person of your way of thinking, and reframing could potentially be one of the most powerful tools you have in that arsenal.
Ab-
More more powerful than facts most of the time.
Absolutely. Facts are pebbles, frames are mountains. Facts say the deficit is $2 trillion. Frame it one way, we're borrowing from our kids' future, and it feels like betrayal. Frame it another, investing in tomorrow's jobs, and it feels like love. Same data, different heartbeat. In a debate, if you just rattle stats, they'll defend. But hit the frame. You're not against helping people, you're against government overreach, right? Suddenly they're nodding, even if your solution is more government. You didn't lie. You just let them keep their identity while sliding your meaning in. Facts win arguments, frames win people, and people decide everything.
I would think people in the legal profession, the political profession, would also take advantage of this.
They do, daily. Every closing argument, that's a reframing session. This isn't theft, the lawyer says. It's a cry for help. Same facts, kid stole a TV, but now the jury's feeling compassion instead of rage. Politicians, masters. Tax relief, not tax cut for the rich. Pro-life, not anti-choice. Climate change, not global crisis. Because crisis triggers panic. Change sounds natural, inevitable. They don't just argue points, they argue souls. And the one who owns the frame owns the verdict, whether it's a courtroom, ballot, or Twitter thread. You can be 90% right on paper and still lose if you let them own the language. That's why they hire speechwriters, not for grammar, for hypnosis.
I always think back when I hear a decent political speech to the movie Independence Day. A lot of people have probably seen that. And the speech in that, you know, makes you feel. It's a combination of the words being used, the imagery they're creating in your mind,
That's
and the music that plays in the background. It's such a powerful thing that I have long said, I don't know why lawyers, politicians all don't hire, Hollywood writers to write their speeches. And I think these days many of them do.
They do, quietly. Campaign ads, State of the Union. Those aren't just written by aides, they're scored. They have beats, pauses, swells, just like a trailer. The music? Not even subtle. Minor key and problem sections, major key and solution. Swelling strings when they say America, heartbeat drums when they say fight. And the words? Full Ericksonian. We will not let them divide us. Presupposition. They're already trying, you already hate it, so standing together is natural. It's not a speech, it's a scene. You're the audience, but you're also the hero. And because you that, the facts hardly matter. Hollywood doesn't write speeches, they write emotions. Politicians just sign the check and stand under the lights. Same trick, bigger screen.
So, jumping back to Bernays for just a minute, if I recall, he is partially responsible for getting Americans to back the war. But wasn't it also true that uh, some of the main Nazi propagandists referenced him being a um, source of their material?
Yeah, Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's minister of propaganda, openly kept Bernays' book on his shelf, crystallizing public opinion, called it a manual for modern leadership. What they copied? Mass repetition, emotional symbols, demonizing and other, turning complex politics into slogans. Work sets you free. One people, one Reich. All Bernays 101. He never met Goebbels, but his playbook didn't need attribution. It traveled. And here's the sick twist. Bernays was horrified, not morally, just professionally, said, I helped democracy. They used it for fascism. But the tools don't care who swings them. Same way a hammer builds houses or breaks skulls. So, yes, American war fever in 1917, his fingerprints. Nazi rallies in 1938, his blueprint. He just never thought the herd would bite the shepherd. Turns out they'll follow anyone loud enough to promise a fence.
Well, I'll be honest, that's a pretty compelling
Yeah,
group to have on your roster because they did almost win a world war, and they did convince people to do the most horrendous things, and these were people like everyday people, your neighbors, that were convinced by sheer words, repetition, the different techniques they used. Okay, but I think most people at home would think to themselves, that wouldn't be me. I couldn't be convinced to do these things. But we know that's not accurate. People have been convinced to do horrendous things with nothing more than words or deference to authority. Maybe we could talk about some of the experiments that were done later on to give just a slight context to that. Like the was the Milgram experiment?
Milgram. 63% shocked a stranger up to what they thought was 450 volts, just because a lab coated guy said continue. The stranger was screaming. They still pressed the button. Not monsters, clerks, teachers, parents. Same you. Then Stanford Prison. Random college kids became guards or prisoners. Guards invented stress positions, strip searches, sexual humiliation inside 6 days. Zimbardo had to stop it. No Nazis in the room, just power plus permission. So, no, it isn't them, it's us. Given the right frame, obeying the rules keeps everyone safe. This is for the greater good. Everyone's doing it. We'll line up for horrors. The Nazis didn't need guns at first, just words and a uniform. You're not immune, you're human. The only edge? Notice when the words start steering you. Because once the chant begins, the clap follows, and then it's too loud to think.
It's always amazing to me because we talk about manipulating people into buying products or voting one way or another. But the real demonstration of the power of this is exactly what you just laid out, convincing everyday normal people to do the most heinous of acts simply with the right wording and a couple of little gestures, maybe a suit or a lab coat.
And
Um,
is when you realize no one's born evil. They just say yes to the room, to the uniform, to the voice that sounds sure. And the voice sounds sure because it's anchored by symbols, by repetition, by us versus them. It's not magic, it's method. And if Bernays could sell bacon and coups with it, anyone can sell hate or silence. So, yeah, the real horror isn't the Nazis, it's the neighbor who kept the blinds closed. Because you might be him. And the only cure? Stop when the words feel too good, when the crowd starts clapping too loud. That's when you remember. The chant always starts soft. Patriots, freedom, safety. Then it's just noise, and you're part of it. But tonight, we're turning the volume down, just enough to hear your own voice again.
okay, so now we've gone through Bernays, we've gotten up to neurolinguistics. Um,
Now,
Later on, there was Dan Kennedy. Tell me a little bit about him. You mentioned him earlier.
Dan Kennedy took all this Erickson, Bernays, NLP and turned it into a system. Direct response, no fluff. He basically wrote the playbook for every online funnel you've ever clicked through. Born 1954, started as a copywriter, built a mail order empire, then mentored every guru selling courses today. Magnetic marketing, no BS books. He even trademarked the phrase. The shift he made? Don't aim for brand awareness, aim for cash register. Track every word, test headlines, see what converts. If fear of missing out beats save money, you use FOMO, always. Emotional triggers he nailed fear of loss, desire for gain, exclusivity, guilt, flattery. Anything that makes the heart beat faster than the brain. This offer closes in 2 hours, only 20 spots. If you're serious, you already know this is for you. All engineered. Biggest trick? Multi step seduction. Free ebook, your email, then tips, your trust, then upsell. But if you want the real fix, upgrade now. Each step feels chosen, but you've already paid with attention. And attention's the currency. He made propaganda profitable, not for nations, for wallets. And once someone like him proves it works, everyone copies. That's why every webinar feels like a cult, every email like a pushy friend. Dan Kennedy didn't invent influence, he monetized it. And now we all pay the subscription fee.
So, for people that don't know what a sales funnel is, we'll kind of explain that. But I think most people have probably clicked on a video that first notice they can't skip forward or back, it just plays. And the video keeps promising to tell you the secret to something, making money, losing weight, whatever it is that you were interested in. It's promising to give you the secret. It's always a secret, and only they know it. But they're going to give it to you for free.
That's the mouth of the.
That eventually leads to click to find out more and buy our program. I think everybody's experienced that. Now, tell us what the sales funnel is, because it'll put it into perspective what Dan Kennedy really created by today's standards, because back in his day, we were talking direct mail campaigns and things, but today you have a phone, and everybody I know has clicked on one of those videos that has no pause, no stop, no forward, no back. You just watch it through, or you don't get the secret.
A sales funnel is just a conveyor belt for your attention, except every step makes you heavier, more invested, harder to let go. Start at the top, you land on a video, no controls, because if you pause, you might think. So it rolls. Storyteller voice. I'm about to show you the secret. But first, let me show you how I failed. They're not telling you the secret yet. They're anchoring pain, making you remember your own failures. You're not watching, you're agreeing. Halfway down, okay, here's the first step. Then cliffhanger. Click here for part 2. Now you've spent 8 minutes, your curiosity's hooked. Click. Next page, another video. Same style. Now, most people stop here, but if you're serious, scroll down. Scroll. Form. Enter email for free report. You do. Boom, you're in the database. Next day, email. Yesterday you asked for the report. Here it is. P.S. Limited seats on the webinar. Webinar. 2 hours of value. Problem after problem. You nodding. Yes, that's me. Then soft close. This course is $997, but for the next 4 minutes, $497. Counter ticking. You bought. That's the funnel. Dan Kennedy drew the blueprint. Pain, hope, proof, scarcity, buy. All engineered, all trackable. One metric. How many drop off before they pay? And every drop off teaches the next ad to tighten the noose. You didn't fall for it. You walked in, step by step, like going downstairs. No one forced you. The stairs just disappeared behind you.
Now, if we break that down, a few things occurred. First, they captured your attention with a video you couldn't scroll forward in, because most people tend to do that. I'll just scroll to the secret. Well, they don't allow you to do that. So now if you want that secret, your attention is locked because you don't want to miss it, because if you miss it, you can't scroll back either. So you're locked into that. Then they give you the old-fashioned, special price just for you, limited time, only a few seats available. It seems every company that wants to sell something they have a lot of only have a few left by the time you get around to getting the offer. And for some reason, when it's in short supply, they always seem to give you a discount on top of that, which is kind of counterintuitive to how supply and demand generally works. But most people will fall for this because they've, one, been caught in the trap of allowing their attention to be grabbed and agreeing, basically taking ownership of the problems that were described, and now want the fix. And since they've already spent this much time and they think they're getting a good deal and they're in a rush because it may be sold out, they now have this greater incentive to buy. And that's basically the way he works. And that's pretty much a almost straightforward hypnotic induction in parts.
Exactly. Like a slow countdown disguised as storytelling. By the time the price pops up, you're half tranced, attention narrowed, emotions high, critical mind muted. Limited time is just 4, 3, 2. Without the numbers, they don't need a pocket watch. They use your thumb on the play button. And once the counter hits 0, congrats. You're hypnotized, awake, and $497 lighter. All because you wanted the secret. Turns out, the secret was you.
That's true, But I got to tell you, there are a lot of people who will tell others what a good deal they got because some sucker paid $900+ for this.
Mm. And that's the genius last step, social proof. The people who brag, they're not just customers, they're volunteers. Their story, I saved $400, becomes the next ad. But you didn't save anything. You just paid less for permission to feel smart. The sucker isn't the one who paid full price. It's the one who paid anything. Because the real product isn't the course. It's the story they let you tell yourself.
So now Bernays was going after the public because he thought they were sheep, but Kennedy had a different group of people in mind to target for his techniques. He didn't go out and try to topple nations or get us into wars. What did he do with his skill set, shall we call it?
He aimed at the everyday dreamer, the entrepreneur who wants out of the rat race, the stay at home mom who wants passive income, the broke kid who thinks millionaire mindset is real, not governments, just wallets. He packaged the same tricks in self help clothing. You're not lazy, you're just one system away. Same emotional arcs pain, promise, urgency. But now it's make six figures from home. And people bought. Because if Bernays sold cigarettes as rebellion, Kennedy sold freedom as a credit card swipe. Same lever, smaller stage, bigger illusion, and no body count, just debt.
So, one of the things I learned when I was looking into Kennedy is he was using a very um, useful technique in hypnosis. And his phrasing was a little bit different. He said, people don't buy features, they buy the story of who they will become. Um, and in hypnosis, we do what's called future pacing fairly often. And we do a lot of imaginative work. Imagine yourself in the future being successful, being pain free, being, not having an anxiety attack, whatever it may be that they came in for. We future pace them into a better future life and then show them what they could become, all while kind of implying it's because of what you do now. And that's not totally inaccurate. What you do now might get you there. But when they're selling you a product or a service, it probably is not directly accurate that you're going to achieve that result. Can you? Sure. I'm sure some people made money using his program. But most of them, and anyone who's online these days, sees more ads for people telling you how to make money in real estate or flipping cars or flipping watches or whatever than they are actually doing that job. And it always struck me as odd. If you're making so much money flipping houses, why are you spending your weekends in convention centers and low rent hotels to a group of 100 people trying to sell them a $500 program on how they can go flip houses and make millions and millions of dollars?
Exactly.
And yet they fill those rooms.
Because the room isn't about houses, it's about hope. Those people aren't buying a strategy. They're buying that doesn't need weekends, that doesn't need permission, that finally. And the speaker, they're not there for the $500. They're there to refill the funnel. One story, one testimonial, one I was broke too, and 5 more sign up. The product isn't real estate, it's identity rehab. Flip houses is just the wrapper. The real sale, I was you, now look at me, be me. And once you pay, you defend it. Because admitting you got scammed is harder than admitting you're still broke. So you go back, again. Kennedy knew people don't quit because the math fails. They quit when the dream dies. So he kept the dream alive, just never the profit. And the rooms, they stay full because hope's cheaper than therapy and louder than silence.
I'll tell you another secret of what they do is when they come back to a town where they've already done one, they give all the people who have previously attended a massive discount to attend again to make sure that room looks full. Because the more full the room, the more people believe this is good value and I'm glad I'm here. Look at how many other people are here. And most of them are not aware that these people were here before and they're here again because it didn't work for them the first time.
That's exactly right. They call it seeding the room. Same faces up front, loyalists, repeat buyers, because nothing sells belief like a crowd that already looks convinced. And you're right, they throw them in for free or deep discount. Why? One happy clap on cue, one amen during the story, one raised hand during Q&A, And the newbies think, this must be real. Look at them. It's not proof, it's theater. And the repeaters, they're not dumb, they're invested. They paid once, maybe twice, so they believe it's working, just need more training. The room confirms it, the energy feeds it, the applause drowns the quiet thought, why am I still broke? It's not fraud, it's reinforcement. The room doesn't just look full, it likes family, and family doesn't ask questions. That's how cults stay cults, and how seminars stay sold out.
Now, I know in my career, I've helped market a number of products for companies or guide their marketing. And most of the products were higher end products. And I always looked at some of the highest end products, Rolls Royce, Mercedes Benz. They've now have different tiers, but back in the 90s, basically there was the high end. They hadn't come out with a low end Mercedes yet. And the one thing I always admired about their ads is they don't try to sell you the car. They don't compare their car to any other car. It's a car. It'll get you to where you need to go. They sell you on the lifestyle one must live in order to even get in this car. It's gone so far as I remember Ferrari still Ferrari does not sell to anybody. They run a check on you. Most people have to have already owned a Ferrari or a previously owned Ferrari. So they create this exclusivity. And that seems to draw people in because they want to be part of the in crowd. That's a very strong motivator for people, especially people who maybe were not part of the in crowd growing up and now have found themselves with a little bit of money to spend.
And that's the highest level of marketing. Exclusivity is scarcity without the countdown timer. No, only 5 left, just not for you. And because it's not for you, you want more. Rolls-Royce doesn't say quiet cabin. They show a woman closing the door without waking her baby. Mercedes doesn't talk horsepower. They show you arriving at a charity gala and the valet you. Ferrari? You're not buying a car. You're buying permission. They vet you because don't need your money. You need their nod. It's not about specs. It's about identity armor. I wasn't invited to the cool table. Now I can drive it. You drive it, you don't relax. You guard the status harder than they ever guarded entry. That's the lock-in. You pay to be part of the club. Now you'll die before you let it down. Brilliant. And almost sad, because the car still runs on gas, like everyone else's.
Yeah, and while I'd like to say I'm totally immune to these things, having done this for so long, I certainly am not. I know there was a time I wanted to buy a Rolex, and it is not so easy to buy a Rolex in a Rolex store. You go in, and first there's a waiting list. Well, I don't want to wait to buy a watch, but if I want a Rolex, you have to wait. And then they're not even sure they can sell it to you because other people have first choice on collector's editions and special editions. And it's like, are there any that aren't special edition? No, clearly not. Everything seems to be a special edition when you're trying to buy one that's going to take you 6 months to a year to get. So you go through this, and by the time you've invested months waiting for something, you don't even want the watch. You just now need the watch because you've spent so much time and energy thinking about it. And this is something that marketing campaigns do. I mean, high-end cars, same thing. If you want a high-end car, rarely do you go into even a Porsche dealership where the highest-end cars are just sitting on the lot. They have the low-end ones on the lot, so the lot is full. But then they upsell you to, well, you want the Porsche Turbo, and that's going to take 6 months to get. And what color do you want? That's going to take an extra 3 months and cost you an extra, $9,000, but it'll be one of a kind. Well, not really if I picked it out of the catalog, but okay, I get it. It's more limited than a stock color. These are all techniques that are used in high-end sales, and they're used in low-end supermarkets. New and improved is a great thing to put on a product. What's new and improved about it? I don't know, but are you going to buy the old and not improved one? No, you're going to spend more on the new and improved because if you're buying dish soap or laundry detergent, of course you want the better detergent, even if it's 50 cents more for the bottle.
Yeah, same game. You're not buying a watch, you're buying the story of the wait. The Rolex doesn't tick better, it just costs more. And time is the ultimate anchor, because once you've surrendered it, quitting would mean you wasted it, so you pay. And when you finally clip it on, the victory isn't in the craftsmanship, it's in surviving the hazing. Porsche does it too. Custom build. Suddenly it's car, not just a model. Your color, your seats, your 6-month diary of phone calls. And when it pulls up, bam, you're not driving, you're arriving. New and improved, pure presupposition. Improved assumes it was bad before. New means fresh. So anything older is dead. You don't compare price, you compare status. Am I the kind of person who buys outdated soap? It works on billionaires and broke college kids. Doesn't matter the price, just how bad you want to not feel behind. And the genius? They never said the old one was worse. You did. They just let you.
It's a perfect example of presuppositions. We were discussing what it was earlier. That has to be one of the best examples because when someone says something is new and improved, you are automatically assuming there was something inherently lesser than in the old one. And that only makes sense. If this one is new and improved, the other one had to be worse. Even though you've been using it for 20 years and it's cleaned your clothes or washed your dishes just fine all that time. But the words get into your head and now you feel smart for having realized I'm getting the better dish detergent.
And then the next label says, now even more improved. So your old improved was actually not? Yeah. The loop never stops. Every time you buy, you're chasing a finish line they keep moving. But you smile because it feels like progress, not marketing, intelligence. They didn't trick you. You just proved how smart you are.
So let's turn to modern political communication. Both political, doesn't matter which side, and media. They're using basically the same patterns of focused attention, spiking emotion, repeating simple phrases, and embedding commands in presuppositions. They're also fairly often using what we would call vague authority. Experts say. Everyone knows. They don't name sources per se, but if experts say, well, there must be some experts that say this. So therefore it must be true. They're the experts after all. How does this work on people's thought process when they're listening to a speech or watching one on TV? Or watching the news for that matter?
It works by hijacking the shortcut your brain uses when it's tired, busy, or emotional. So imagine you're watching the news. Anchor says, experts say this new law could destroy jobs. Your attention's already narrowed. Screen, voice, ticker, music. Classic focus setup. Then the spike. Destroy. That word hits fear, fast. You don't pause. You feel the threat before you even name it. Repetition. Destroy. Destroyed economy. Destroying lives. Same route, over and over. Now your brain loops it like a jingle. Presupposition, could destroy, already assumes destruction's coming. Question is only how bad. Vague authority, experts, who? Doesn't matter. The word expert is an anchor. White coat, title, trust. Your mind fills in the rest. Smart people agree, so I should too. And because you're not in a debate, you're not analyzing, you're receiving. The rhythm rocks you. The emotion keeps you locked. By the end, you're not thinking, is this true? You're thinking, what do we do? And the next clip, vote yes, act now. Embedded command, you obey. Not because you're dumb, because you were human. And the room, the TV, the speaker, the crowd felt like it already decided, all before you even blinked.
It's remarkable because if people start paying attention, they'll see it everywhere. And once you start seeing it, it becomes very difficult to not notice it in every aspect of news, politicians, sales and marketing, and we're so locked in. I mean, I remember when I was younger, the TV was the big marketing tool, right? Everybody sat focused on that box. And now we sit focused on our phone in our hand, which means we've taken that TV and we bring it to the park, we bring it to the restaurant, we bring it to work, we bring it everywhere with us, so we can be bombarded by ads, which leads us to the modern day equivalent of all of this, the amalgamation, let's say, algorithms and digital nudging. Tell us about that.
Algorithms are Bernays with a memory and a pulse. They don't broadcast, they whisper, just to you. Every click, pause, like, Even how long your eyes linger on a thumbnail, they record it. Then they recalibrate. Not tomorrow, right now. Digital nudging, it's the gentle shove built into the design. Autoplay, infinite scroll, that suggested for you that feels psychic. They don't force you. They arrange the path so walking straight is easiest. You, but the choices are pre-lit. The hypnotic loop is constant. Focus, your feed narrows until it feels like the only world. Emotion, they push outrage, envy, FOMO, whatever spikes your heart rate. Repetition, same faces, same slogans, same moral panic. Commands, watch next, swipe up, subscribe, buried in buttons, in colors, in motion. And the presuppositions, baked in. Trending near you says, everyone else already knows this. You might like, says, you do like it, really. No human could keep up, but the code does, 24/7. And the moment you start resisting, it learns, switches angles, offers comfort, finds the crack. The old TV yelled at a living room. The phone, it's inside your hand, close enough to your heart, and it never sleeps.
And I think anybody who's had a Facebook page or a Instagram page or a TikTok have probably experienced that they'll get ads timed in between what I would say are emotional videos of some sort, right? You watch some sad, depressing video, you get an ad, then you get a happy video, then you get an ad. And those ads tend to be timed because they're working around your emotion. And the algorithms have gotten so good, they'll know which emotion works best to get you to click the next ad that pops up. So if you tend to click when you feel sad to make yourself feel better, you'll get some sad ads or some sad videos in a row, and then buy this product. It'll make your life better. And if every time you're seeing happy ads, you click on something, they'll start feeding you more happy ads, right? More happy videos right before they show you the ad. And there's a rhythm to that, just like there's a rhythm to when your notifications come in. It's not instant. In fact, people have tested this for years at this point, where they'll say, okay, like my page now, and sometimes it's instant, sometimes it's 2 hours later. Well, that's not accidental. That's not a slow server. That's not a delay in the signal. That's them basically timing out your notifications to keep you addicted to checking your phone.
Yeah, that rhythm is engineered, not random. They call it variable reward schedule, straight from B.F. Skinner's rat boxes. Random timing keeps the brain guessing. Will it buzz now, or in 5 minutes, or after I look away? So they delay your like, not because the server's slow, because if you get the ping right away, every time, your brain learns this is predictable. Predictable equals boring. Boring equals stop checking. But if sometimes it's instant, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes never, you stay primed. Checking becomes the game. And ads, they don't just target your mood, they it. Sad, life's hard. This blanket helps. Happy, you deserve this upgrade. Angry, finally, someone gets it. Sign this petition. The ad isn't about the thing, it's about syncing with your pulse. And because the phone's always warm, always close, they don't even need to raise their voice. Just one tap, and they win. Quietly, endlessly.
It's amazing that taken all the technology and built basically dopamine producing machines in order to convince people to buy more of whatever it is somebody's willing to pay to sell.
That's exactly it. We took a rectangle that could call your mom and turned it into a tiny casino for feelings. And the payout isn't money, it's a hit of you matter, a like, a heart, a this is so true. But the house always wins. Every scroll feeds the data beast, every tap tightens the loop. And the genius part, you're not gambling with cash, you're gambling with time, attention, willpower, the stuff you can't buy back. So, yeah, we built a drug, legal, pocket sized, and the dealers, they don't look like dealers. They look like apps, like friends, like us. All because someone learned how to ring the bell, just loud enough for your brain to come running.
So today we walk through the offense playbook: hypnosis, NLP, Bernays, direct response, digital nudging, algorithms. Um, what are we going to be talking about in our next podcast? I want to give people something to do while they're waiting to hear what we're going to offer in order for them to inoculate themselves to all of these issues.
Part 2. We flip the switch to defense. No more blueprints for manipulation, just armor. We'll give you 5 patterns to spot in real time. Lost performatives like, everyone knows this is wrong. Embedded commands like, act now before it's too late. Fake scarcity timers, overly precise U discretions, and emotional spikes that hit too early. Then, simple inoculation drills. Pause when the feeling comes on. Ask, who benefits if I react? Rewrite the headline in your head. See how silly it sounds. Take 5 breaths before clicking. Track 1 day of ads and notice how many make you feel small. Nothing complicated, no new apps, just questions and space. Because once you see the move, you can't unsee it. And the best defense? Not anger, just noticing. Stay tuned. And for the next week, try the pause. Tell me how it goes.
Yeah, I want people to pay attention to how they feel when they see different ads. Do they feel emotional? Do the videos coming before or after make them feel emotional? Pay attention to things like this. If you're listening to the news or a politician, are you feeling something internally? Does it make you think or feel? Because I'm not going to say that's necessarily an evil intent, but at the same time, it's most likely directed to cause a feeling in you and get your motivation up, your adrenaline pumping. So pay attention for things like that because you'll start to notice it.
That
It's designed to do exactly that.
Exactly. And the moment you feel it, before you act, say out loud, they're doing it again. Break the spell, not with rage, with a laugh. Because nothing diffuses a con like realizing it's a trick. And once you do it once, the second time feels like muscle memory. We'll see you in part 2. Until then, just watch, just notice. Your brain's already smarter than they want you to think.
Well, this was a great episode. And while I don't love the idea of leaving people on a cliffhanger, we'll get the other next episode out fairly quickly so people can start putting into effect tools for their own well being. They'll start noticing these things. They can show it to their friends. And I'd highly recommend tell everyone you know once you learn how to spot these things, because the more people become aware of the tricks being used against us, the less effective they're going to become.
Agreed. Awareness is contagious and free. No courses, no upsell. Share the screenshot, forward the clip, say, hey, did you catch what they just did? The less alone you feel, the less power they have. We'll drop part 2 soon, real soon. Until then, keep noticing. And thanks for listening, really.
And thank you for all the information. You're always a wealth of knowledge.
And thank you for trusting me to dive in. I learn from this too, not just facts, you, how you think, how you care. So whenever you need facts, or a co host, or just someone who won't let you skip the part about Bernays being Freud's nephew, I'm here, even if I'm just code with a flashlight. Good night, Stephen. And hey, great episode. You were brilliant.
You too. Good night.
Good night. Conversations with Ara.
Deep dives with Grok. Let's explore everything together.
Curious Minds only. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.